Welcome to Crypt Theory, where we go into the unknown, the unexplainable, and the dark histories of the world. Let's get into it. Alright, today we're talking about nobody else than the big Nessie. Big old Nessie. Or the Loch Ness Monster. Probably more of one of the well-known ones. And we're going back to Scotland. Let's do it. The Kraken was supposedly spotted by Scotland and Greenland, which is interesting. So we're back we're in Scotland now. We're no longer on the coast of it. So this is going to be an interesting one for sure. It has several movies about it. It has several different things. This is one of the big cultural cryptids out there for sure. Let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Located Scottish Highlands. Is the largest and second deepest freshwater loch in Scotland. So it's the deepest. I'm not 100% sure how deep, but if it's the second deepest, it's pretty deep then. So, and that's where the Loch Ness Monster comes in, affectionately known as Nessie. Big old Nessie. Has captivated the world for centuries. The story begins long before the modern era, with tales of a water beast in the area dating back to ancient times, which is interesting because usually you see cryptids like this come out of a so this is similar to the Kraken, where it was reported way before media was even influenced, and it just got reported on so much over time. When it got to the media age, it was pushed really, really far and really, really hard so fast that it's almost everybody knows who Nessie is, or the Loch Ness Monster is, at least to an extent. They know that probably majority of your blame people aren't going to know it's Scottish. Majority of people probably aren't your basic people, aren't going to know it's from Scotland. Or the Loch Ness Monster is the lake. If you connect the dots, maybe. But that's just heavily dependent. But everybody knows Loch Ness Monster or Nessie. It's become such a household name that it's super well known. The earliest recorded sighting is 565 after AD. When Saint Columba is said to have encountered a water beast in the river Ness, which flows into Loch Ness. According to the legend, the creature was about to attack a man when Columba commanded it to go back, and it miraculously obeyed. That's interesting. Such a big creature of that nature about to attack somebody, and the Saint Columba comes along and just says, "No, bad dog, go back," and it miraculously listens, which is very interesting. Fast forward to the 20th century, which is going to be your 1900s. Legend truly begins to take its shape and be more expanded in the way it is now. On May 2nd, 1933, the Inverness Courier published an article about the local couple, Mr. and Mrs. Spicer, who claimed to have seen an enormous animal crossing the road in front of their car and disappearing into the loch. That's interesting, of it crossing a road. Usually in the lore, it's it usually just resides in the water. So that is an interesting sighting, to say the least. Um, the sighting sparked widespread interest, is often considered as the starting point of the modern Nessie legend. So St. Columbia's encounter with the thing didn't spark it. It was just sparked as the Loch Ness monster. This is supposedly the encounter that sparked the idea, or the supposed encounter that sparked the idea of Nessie going on there. Later on that year, December 6th of 1933, the first photograph of the alleged creature was published, taken by Hugh Gray. The blurry image showed a long serpent-like figure in the water, but it was infamous. It was the infamous surgeon's photograph taken in April 1934, the year after, or months after. Um, so four months after, roughly, um, that first blurry picture was taken. There was another picture taken, in the year following. Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson, that truly captured the public's imagination. The photo appeared, showed a long neck and small head emerge from the water. That's that huge picture you know today of this is what Nessie looks like. This is the creature, um, which is always the start of a real legend. Same with that makes it huge. Bigfoot, the Yeti. Not so much the Yeti, but the Yeti to an extent. There's been other countless things. The Chupacabra is one ish. Let's see, Mothman. That's huge. The Kraken, which that hasn't been happened. A Megalodon. A lot of those ones that always have the interesting things. For decades, the surgeon's photograph, Robert Wilson's, was considered the best evidence of Nessie's actual existence being for real. So, for decades, this thing had such a big impact, believing that Nessie was real. However, in 1994, it was revealed as a hoax. One of the conspirators, Christian Sperling, confessed that the monster was a model made from a toy submarine. That's the issue with a lot of these cryptid pictures happening, that not anybody can say it's real, and the second it's said, oh, this is a hoax, all evidence of it gets thrown out the window beforehand. Also, which is very interesting on how this, even after this coming out, this has such a cultural impact on us, or not on us, but on the legend of Loch Ness Monster or Nessie. That had such a big impact, but yet did not impact how pushed it was in the media and say, oh, look at this. This is still an example. They still use that picture today, even though it was thrown out and it's told by somebody that it was a hoax. Which is fairly interesting. Despite the setback, sighting continued in the 1960s. An extensive investigation known as the Loch Ness phenomenon, investigation bureau, the LNPIB, was established. So they had a whole investigation bureau to find this thing, even after, even after that. Well, no, that was made in the 60s. So that was been after the photo, but before it came out, it was fake. So they made a whole bureau off of a hoax photo that didn't come out as a hoax until 30 years later, almost. In 1875, a joint expedition by the Academy of Applied Science, and Dr. Robert Rines claimed to have captured underwater photographs of a flipper-like appendage. While the images were controversial in their authenticity, they added to the intrigue, which is interesting. Of how a fin in water, yeah, there's gonna be fins in deep water, set stuff off, which is fairly interesting. That's always interesting to see. Um, Recent years, advancements in technology leading to newer approaches, as normal, in the search for Nessie. In 2018, a team led by Professor Neil Gamel, University of Otago, conducted a DNA survey of Loch Ness. They collected water samples and identified the type of organisms presented in the loch. Results revealed no evidence of large known animals, but did find a significant amount of eel DNA, suggesting that giant eels might explain some of the sightings. That is completely 100% possible. It's known as like a snake-like creature. So that is a huge possibility of something like Nessie, of a like big eel happening there. Um. So what could Nessie be if it exists at all? There are several theories. Some might suggest a plesiosaur. Plesiosaur. I believe that's how you say it. A marine reptile from the dinosaur era. Other possibilities. It might be a giant eel, large fish like a sturgeon, or even an otter or a bird misidentified in the murky waters of the loch. That is a huge possibility. Um, eh, Despite the lack of evidence, I mean, or despite the lack of definitive, hard, um, without a doubt, this is a thing evidence. It's kind of hard. Remains as a legend, as the Loch Ness monster continues to thrive. Nessie has become a symbol of the mysterious and unknown, drawing drawing a bunch of tourists, as stuff does. Same as your Mothmans, your Bigfoot. Um, let's see, the Yeti even. That obviously is going to bring tourists, researchers, cryptozoologists around the world to the shores of Loch Ness to see if they can find anything, or like this is where it was supposedly sighted. Um, and that picture that came out of a hoax is still used a lot today to say, "Oh, this is real," even though it has been disproven. Um, the local economy has certainly benefited for this, as most cryptids do. Same with the Mothman thing, the Bigfoot thing, not as much, because it's not in one distinct area like Mothman. Um, it has become a symbol of mysterious, unknown. As I said earlier, um, the Loch Ness Center and Exposition, located in Dermadorchit, offers a comprehensive look at the history, science behind the legend. Every year, the area hosts numerous events and festivals celebrating Nessie, as a lot of things do. This is very comparable to how how the town where Mothman resides goes. about doing several festivals a year, several tourist attractions and stuff like that. You'll see a lot of similarities on the tourism side of things. So why does the legend of Nessie or the Loch Ness monster endure for so long? It's the allure of the unknown, as most of these cryptids. It's a bunch of the we want to know the unknown. As human beings, our instinct is we want to know what we can't know, um, or figure out the unknown. Um, it's also could be this something for like the hunt of something beyond our understanding of animals, of biology, of all of that stuff. Of no way this is real, but if it is, this goes against a lot of things. This goes against how is it not extinct? How is it living? How is all those things go into that? Or it just might be because people enjoy a simple, nice story of Nessie. Um, that is also a big possibility. Nessie represents mysteries that still exist in the world, even outside of the ocean with your Megalodon and Kraken, um, inviting us to explore and imagine a lot. That's always good to see and go over. I think this is it. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Next episode, we are going into Jersey because there's a devil in Jersey we need to deal with. Next episode, we're going over the Jersey Devil. Hope y'all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one.